everybody. I'm here with Bill Stritzler, the owner of Smuggler's Notch. Hey, Bill. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
I'll shake your hand. I'm happy to do it. So, Bill, you have one of the most beautiful venues that I've ever seen. By far the most beautiful venue on the Pro Tour. How long has this been in the family? And tell me a little bit about Smuggler's Notch.
Well, Smuggler's Notch has been here over 60 years now. Actually, this is our 60th anniversary this year. But I've been here 30 years as an employee and then as the owner for the last 20 years.
Okay.
So I'm really proud of the place. We're recognized as a great family resort. We actually got started in disc golf because it is such a great family sport.
Absolutely.
Everyone can participate in it. You notice here we've got different tees for different capabilities. So we love it when the Pro Tour is in here. We see families here with their kids enjoying it. Right. And that's what we do at Smugglers. We're very focused on family. We're also now very focused on disc golf. We think that you don't have to do a lot of things, but the things you do, you really should try to be best at. So that's, I don't know if we're there yet for disc golf, but that's where we're headed.
You're on a very good path. And I think you're being a little bit modest because you never mentioned that it's the #1 family resort for, I guess, for ski mountains?
It is.
Is that one time only? I assume that's a pretty big honor.
15 years running now.
I didn't actually know that.
It used to be, they used to give us the recognition as the #1 family resort, but we got it so often they changed it as the #1 resort for kids. Oh. So now we get the #1 resort for kids instead of families.
Well, there you go.
But right now, the announcement of the winners for this year is about 2 weeks off.
Okay.
But we expect it's going to be fine.
I'm going to hold my breath and let's see what happens.
You and me both.
So I've been up here a few months ago to scout out the course, and Jeff Spring showed us around. He obviously did a great job. But while I was here, I went ahead and did that zip line course.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many zip lines there are. 10 or 12 zip lines. It took maybe 20 or 30 minutes to go down through the mountain. Zip lining, it seemed like feet away from trees. I actually got a little goosebumps again. So tell us, how long has that zip line course been here, and what was the impetus behind putting that in?
About 5 years. The same idea. We like to do things that others don't necessarily do. Today, zip lines are very popular, but at the time we put our deal together to do this course, it was unique. And it's unique because it's really more than a zip line course. It runs through our geology here, and it's guided, so the guides are all prepared to talk to you about the ecology and about the flora and fauna, so it's educational as well as fun.
Yeah, 100%.
And we call it a canopy tour because that's what's really happening. You're flying in the canopy, and it's a ball. So
I'm gonna close, and Bill, I know you've been enjoying watching this, and we're very happy to be here on your mountain. What did you do? What have you been doing today while all of this is going on?
I have to tell you, today I had a ball. I was a live scorer.
You volunteered?
So I did. I volunteered and I live scored. Went out with my foursome and we enjoyed it. They were very patient with me, by the way.
What card did you go off with? What time?
11:10.
11:10. Okay, a nice middling card.
Yeah.
And they were they treated you really well.
They did.
That's fantastic. I'm glad they did that.
Yeah, I had to tell them who I was so they would be patient with me.
The name tag helps. Yeah. Bill, well, thank you very much.
And thank you very much for bringing the tour here. We really do appreciate it. We have fun with you guys.
We are honored to be here.
All right, fair enough.
Thank you. Thank you all.
He's got good height on it. It's flexing right at the basket. Oh my goodness! Ricky Wysocki cards an eagle 2 on this uphill par 4. What a fantastic shot.
Let's go.
Yeah, buddy.
Good morning and welcome out here to beautiful Smuggler's Notch, Vermont. We are out here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. We are at the semifinals right now. And Terry, it is go time this morning. Tell us what our format's going to look like today.
This is one of the most unique formats we've seen here in disc golf. We have 4 competitors going out on a card, and all that matters is that you win your card. If you win your card, you advance to this afternoon.
Excellent. And so these are our top 8 competitors from the season tour points standings. They got a bye into the semifinals. And then our top 8 qualifiers from yesterday. We saw some hot rounds yesterday, and then we saw some controversial moves yesterday. If we weren't tuned into the broadcast, Terry, tell us what we saw yesterday on the 18th green that maybe made us scratch our heads a bit.
Well, as Drew Gibson was walking up to the 18th green, we saw him throw, what seemed to be initially past the basket. He went OB, then he approached to the basket, didn't give it a very good run, and then from 1 foot away, he actually then slammed his putter on the ground.
Yeah.
The reason for that, he knew where he was positioned in terms of the qualifying, and he didn't want to go up against the likes of Paul McBeth. Paul McBeth then later fired shots last night on Facebook saying, Drew Gibson is scared of me.
That's right.
And I think it's true.
I also think it's true. Drew responded by saying, hey, I'd rather play you for $10,000 than $2,000. So a little bit of gamesmanship out here at the Pro Tour finale. We're really excited to see how that card shakes out and if that was a good choice for Drew Gibson. So our first card going off today is going to be Ricky Wysocki, Nate Sexton, Nikko Locastro, and Jordan Castro. So we are ready for some incredible disc golf. It's going to be coming at you in just a few moments. We've got Pro Tour Director Steve Dodge, who's here on the call.
And one final thing, as something Steve would say, if you're scared, say you're scared. Let's get to it.
Thank you, Terry and Rob. First on the tee for our first card in the Disc Golf Pro Tour semifinals, 4-time GMC champion, 1-time world champion, Ricky Wysocki. Next on the tee, from Asheville, North Carolina, Nate Sexton. Teeing off third on our 8 o'clock card from St. Louis, Missouri, Nikko Locastro.
Stay out there in the middle. Stay out there.
And rounding out our 8 o'clock card from Austin, Minnesota, Jordan Castro.
And we are off here, walking up the fairway of hole 1. Nico's giving us some Sports Center noises this morning. He is clearly ready to play. We going to see some top 10 shots today, Nico?
You might see me fall asleep standing up.
Okay. That might make the top 10. I'd be interested to see.
Good.
Good luck out there today, man.
How about close my eyes and get an ace?
Yeah, that's good too. That would definitely make Sports Center.
There we go. Why did I just throw a shot that easy in the tournament? I yanked it into this one. I yanked it into this one. Dude, I caught the most miracle breaks on this one 2 times.
You got in bounds off that?
No, dude, I yanked it into the tree and ended up...
Nico telling us about his previous tournament shots as he missed the fairway on one of his hyzers, caught some trees on the right and came back into the fairway. So fortunate break for him. Didn't need a fortunate break this morning as he threw a great tee shot out to the left. First to throw will be Ricky Wysocki, be using a Lucid Felon for his forehand up shot. It's got a good line out of his hand if it just travels to the right a bit. Nico confused why Ricky's got to do that all the time, and Rick's answer is, because I win world championships. Next to throw will be Jordan Castro. As we heard just before, Jordan Castro is a relative local to the scene. He is from Minnesota, but had a quick little jaunt over here. Played very well in the qualifiers yesterday to find himself in this position today. Jordan's putter doesn't have quite enough turn on it. He's looking for that to get down. I think he's going to be safe there. Not sure if he'll have a very good look at birdie 3. If he does, it'll maybe be 80 feet or so. Here's Nate Sexton warming up his fingers for a forehand up shot. It's a great low line out of his hand, looking for a bit of skip, which he gets. That looks to have settled about 20 feet from the basket, maybe even 15. And from what I understood to be no warm-up, Nico has just pured his tee shot. He's throwing a rock for his upshot. That's carrying right, but now fading back left to the basket. Looks as if he's settled very close to the basket. So we are going to have 3-card coverage to be able to bring you today. Robert McCall, will be up here with our first tee time. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, and Jamie Thomas will be with a couple of other cards today. So we'll get to see a lot of action from around the Fox Run Meadows disc golf course this morning. Jordan Castro's putter has carried into the circle 2 area, so he'll be at about 60 feet for his birdie 3. Castro's bid is up, but short and left. He'll have 12 feet left for his par 4. Ricky's upshot actually went a bit long, leaving him about 25 feet for his birdie 3 on our opening hole here on the Fox Run Meadows course. And as we've grown accustomed to seeing from Ricky Wysocki, he is good from 25 feet. It's a good start to Ricky's round. Jordan Castro is good for his par 4. Nate Sexton from 12 feet for his birdie 3. And Nikko Locastro is in for his birdie 3. That has been hole 1 from here at the Fox Run Meadows course. We're going to hear a brief word from our sponsors and then send it back to the action back on hole 1.
Hello everybody, we are live on the tee for our 8-10 card in the Disc Golf Pro Tour semifinals. The winner of the card advances, 1 wild card advances as well. First on the tee from St. Paul, Minnesota, Cale Laviska. Next on the tee, from Lakeville, Minnesota, Alex Geisinger. Third on our 8-10 card, from Phoenix, Arizona, Paul Ulibarri. And rounding out our 8-10 card from Chattanooga, Tennessee, James Snappy Cole.
And we're off. We're here on hole number 1 at Fox Run Meadow. Welcome everyone. I'm Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. We'll be calling the shots here for this card today. Of course, we'll be checking in with Robert McCall as well as Jamie Thomas. We'll give you as much action as possible as we're here for the semifinals at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships. We've got a great card, as Steve Judge just announced. Paul Ulibarri, Cale Leviska, along with Alex Geisinger and James Cole. After some personal deliberation here, Cale goes with a stretched out one knee approach here on hole number 1. Cale was debating whether he wanted to give it a full run up or simply take a knee. I think he was worried about his follow through and his direct line at the basket. This is Yuli. Very overstable forehand by Yuli. He's not certain if that had in fact carried deep of the pin. That's going to be flirting with the long OB line. And Geisinger's aiming right at the basket and flashes just in front of it. It's going to be a little bit deep, but he should be inbounds. And James Cole here with the longest drive of the group. And playing the skip here with a forehand. You see James Cole moving to the right side of the pin. Very interesting scenario here today. We have Minnesota's 2 top players in Alex Geisinger and Cale Leviska. Cale, of course, being the veteran of the state and one of the most decorated players to ever compete in Minnesota. Alex Geisinger, starting just a handful of years ago, came up and started immediately challenging Cale Leviska So to see these two friends and competitors square off here, looking for some exciting drama today. And that's how you start your morning from more than 70 feet. Kale Leviscott is in for the birdie. What a shot by Kale. And it looks like Paul Ulibarri is, in fact, just inside the OB stake, so he's going to be inbounds. He's also just inside the circle 1 indicator. Looks like he's approximately 32 feet from the pin. And Yuli's birdie attempt is just off the front of the rim. It's a slight roll away, leaving him with a 12-foot tester. I say tester here in the early goings of a round and early morning. And albeit left side, he gets that one to drop in. Geisinger with a sigh of relief. He knew that was just off center. James is in. And Yuli is in for the par. We see a pair of pars and a pair of birdies right here on hole 1. We'll be back with you in a moment after a brief walk to hole 2. I believe there's action that's going to be also picking up on hole 1 in just a few moments.
Flashlight LED disc golf discs just changed the game. The unique Disco Select feature allows everyone to choose their own color by simply pressing the middle button, then pressing it again during the first rotation of colors when the one you want appears. Or you can leave it in disco mode, rotating through the 6 different colors for the duration of your game. Designed by serious professionals, crafted from Night Eye's unrivaled sure grip material, and featuring Night Eye's patented fiber optics array, these discs strike the perfect balance of durability, stability, performance, and just plain awesomeness. With easily replaceable batteries and an uber-long life, the Flash Flight driver, mid-range, and putter will shine as they blaze your path to victory, day or night. Night Eyes. Discover your solution.
And Geisinger with a gentle turnover here on hole number 2. Hole 2, 270 feet. And Cole going right up the middle, threading the needle very nicely. Great looking shot there by Paul Ulibarri with a forehand. Cale Leiviska had hit one of the center trees here as he was first to tee on hole number 2. He's going to have a little bit of work to do being on this left side. Cale not exactly known for it having a forehand shot, so whenever presenting the opportunity, he'll make the best he can with a backhand stance. It looks like he's going to have enough room for that. Had he been pushed a little further left, I think that would have been more challenging. Feel a gentle breeze blowing a little bit in our face with a right to left. Cale's line is not dialed in as he catches a tree no more than 30 feet in front of him. And Cale places himself within 10 of the pin. As we move down the fairway of 2, we see a few of the leaves starting to change here in Vermont. This is one of the most gorgeous times of year to be here, mid to late September. And a slip through here by Alex Geisinger. That was left side chains, however, did not grab enough to keep it in the basket. And Paul Ulibarri certainly frustrated with that. James Cole is going to pick up the lone birdie here. Paul Ulibarri was impeded by the tree, and which caused him to airball from less than 25 feet. Cale Leiviska needs to tap this in for his bogey 4. And a very dynamic hole. James Cole with a birdie 2. Ulibarri and Geisinger both with par 3s, and Cale Leiviska with a bogey 4. We'll be back with you in a few moments. You're watching Live Disc Golf right here with Smashbox TV.
Welcome back here to the Fox Run Meadows course out here in Smuggler's Notch, Vermont. We are out on hole 4 with our earliest tee time this morning. Our competitors are Nikko Locastro, Ricky Wysocki, Nate Sexton, and Jordan Castro. But a couple of decent starts to the round. Nate Sexton went birdie, but then found a bogey 4 on hole 3, which was, I guess, turned out to be his nemesis hole for this course, as he took a 5 on it yesterday after a absolutely awful rollaway that ended up out of bounds. Hole 4 is a par 4 out here, around 650 feet, and it's the type of hole that our players can attack with a big right-hand backhand hyzer and then a relatively simple putter upshot to the basket. This would be one of the easier handicapped holes on this course. For most of our elite players, we'll see a lot of birdie threes on a hole like this. First to throw will be Jordan Castro. After a drive shorter than most of the rest of our competitors because of a little tree grab, Jordan's shot is good up to the basket, maybe 25 feet, 20 feet short. Next to throw will be Nate Sexton with his Sexont Firebird. As we've moved into the open a bit more, the wind is picking up a bit, but Nate puts a good angle on that disc, hits the rocks by the basket. That'll net him about 15 feet for birdie. Nikko Locastro's lining up his upshot with a... Puts a good hyzer on that, tracking right at the pin. Skips just off the back of the green, but should still be about 20 feet. Ricky Wysocki with a lucid felon comes out a little bit right, but we'll have about 25 feet left to the basket for his birdie 3. As we walk up Forest Fairway up to Forest Green here, we are getting to the portion of the course that's a bit more open, and so the wind is going to be more of a factor in affecting our players' shots over the next several holes. Hole 5, Hole 7, and Hole 8 being 3 of the most difficult holes to their relative par on the course. We might see some interesting looking shots from our players, or we might see our players take great advantage of the difficult conditions. Here's Ricky Wysocki. And Ricky's putt is up and in for his birdie 3. Good putt. Next to putt will be Jordan Castro from approximately 22 feet. And a good putt by Jordan Castro from 22 feet. Nikko Locastro's putt for birdie 3 is up and in. And Nate Sexton is good for birdie 3 on hole 4. We want to throw it back over to hole 1 right now out at the Fox Run course, as we've got Steve Dodge introducing our next card of players.
Okay. We are live on the tee for our 8:30 tee time. Teeing off first from Huntington Beach, California, 4-time world champion, Paul McBeth. Teeing off second from Denver, North Carolina, Michael Johansen. Third on our 8:30 card from White Van, USA, Cam Todd. And rounding out our 8:30 card from Manuka, Illinois, Dana Vicich. Yeah, nice shot. If I was you, I would take this in frame.
And welcome back in, everybody. Jamie Thomas here. We are following the 8:30 card. Paul McBeth, Cam Todd, Dana Vicich, Michael Johansen. It's a muggy and slightly overcast morning here in Smugs, Vermont. The clouds do look like they're giving way to some blue skies in the distance. And you guys are in for a special treat, a very interesting format today. There are 4 cards out on the course right now, consisting of the remaining 16 semifinalists for the $10,000 prize and the title of the Disc Golf Pro Tour champion. The best score on each card will automatically advance. It is a knockout round. From there, a 5th competitor will be chosen from the best available score that did not already advance. And those 5 are going to play in the finals this afternoon for the $10,000 prize. Good upshot from between the trees off the left side of the fairway for McBeth. Cam Todd sizing up the situation, looking at a disc change. Looks like he's aiming at the smaller gap. On the right side of the fairway. He's going to have to challenge the OB just a little bit. Good Annie there, stays clean. Little tuck and roll at the end. Michael Johansen has found the prime spot in the fairway, looking dead on at the basket. Got a little extra carry out of that tailwind. Here's Vicich getting furthest up the fairway. Good aggressive drive for him. Sizing up the situation as the wind starts to swirl a little bit here on hole 1. He's asking for it to get up a little bit. Should be a little short of the basket, but up on the flat. Very happy everybody's joining us this morning, no matter where you are in the world. We're bright and early. 8 a.m. local time is when the first card went off. So if you're having your first cup of coffee in the Midwest or the early riser on the West Coast, welcome in. You are watching the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships. We are playing the Fox Run Meadows course out here in Smugs, Vermont. And this par 4 to start off hole 1. 15 of the 16 competitors kept it in bounds. Only Nate Doss found OB off of the tee. But it looks like Michael Johansen will also take an OB stroke. That slight slope from right to left carried the hyzer out on his putt. The tailwind just pushed it straight past the basket. Michael Joe usually very accurate with his mid-ranges, but that wind gusted right as he went to throw his previous shot. Here he is from just inside the circle. And a fantastic par save there for Michael Joe. Dana and Paul are going to have similar looks. You can count that birdie. Dana with a strong putt. Follows suit, and Cam Todd will add to the number of birdies on this card. Michael Joe is going to lose one stroke to the rest of his competitors on his card after the par 4, hole number 1. And we're going to move up onto hole 2 here and get into position. And I hear Robert McCall has some good action going on a little further down the course. Robert, how we doing?
Jamie, we're out here on hole 6. We've got a 290-foot uphill forehand shot to an island green. Nate Sexton's taking a nice high line at it, tracking right at the basket. And he hits the boards underneath the basket. He'll have an absolute drop-in for his birdie, too. We've just seen Nikko Locastro and Jordan Castro, the Castro Bros, the Cast Bros. That probably doesn't work, but we've seen them throw pretty good forehands up here. Nikko looks to be right at the circle's edge, and Jordan Castro will be just inside of that, I believe. Last to tee will be Ricky Wysocki. Ricky's got a great line on this, and he's come to rest about 5 feet outside of Nate, so about 10 feet from the basket. What a great group of tee shots by our competitors. On hole 5, the previous hole, which is 440 feet, I believe, downhill, we've got a left to right crosswind and out of bounds on both sides of the fairway, including water toward the basket. We actually had an all-star birdie of all twos on hole 5. I don't think that'll happen again today, because that is a very difficult hole that these competitors made look extremely easy. So as they walk up the fairway, we've got some pretty hot scores going. We had a couple of bogeys on hole 3. Ricky Wysocki and Nate Sexton both went out of bounds. Those have been the only blemishes on our scorecard. We've had a lot of bogeys and just a couple of pars otherwise. Let me correct myself. We've had a lot of birdies and a couple of pars otherwise. Here's Nikko Locastro from approximately 31 feet. Nico's putt is good from 31 feet, just over the rim. Great putt for birdie. Next to putt will be Jordan Castro from 27 feet. Jordan Castro's birdie bid is up and in. Good putt from 27. Eagle McMahon giving a free plug for Dynamic Discs, saying that was Jordan with a Warden. I didn't say it nearly as cool as he did. Ricky Wysocki is in for his birdie too. And Nate with an absolute drop-in. Another all-star birdie here on the uphill 290-foot hole 6. We're going to go to a brief word from our sponsors. We'll bring you back some more live disc golf action here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. You're watching Smashbox TV.
And welcome back as we have caught up with our competitors on hole number 4. Earlier we saw Paul Ulibarri go OB off of the tee. He found himself in the center island. He has thrown an approach to within 40 feet of the pin. And Alex Geisinger's second shot found the island on the right center side of the fairway. This will be his third shot. And a long jump putt there by Geisinger from outside circle 2. Paul Ulibarri is just inside 40 feet. We're going to see a famous Uli step putt here. He can save par 4 if he can convert. And he is right, pushing himself just off the mound of this slightly elevated pin. We've seen each of our 4 competitors with a little bit of struggle here on one hole or another. James Cole has been relatively clean. After Cale Levis got opened with a huge birdie putt on one, He has since then gone bogey. He's looking for a birdie 3 here on hole number 4. And a hyzer putt for birdie by James Cole. James had the longest drive of the group. And yes, I said that even with Alex Geisinger here. Geisinger being the single furthest throwing player out of all the competitors that remain. In fact, of all the competitors that signed up this weekend, I'd say he's the furthest throwing competitor. And that birdie puts Cale back to even. He's had birdies on holes 1 and 4 and bogeys on 2 and 3. Let's check back in with Jamie Thomas with the action back a few holes behind us.
Thanks, Terry. I have to say, this kind of format has brought a different energy to the card so far. We're on the fairway of hole 3, as Paul McBeth has now twice in a row thrown short off the tee. He hit the first available tree already on his drive. He's not really going to have a good look at a birdie here. And some competitors that are normally pretty jovial are a little more tense today. Apologize for that little bump, guys. Where our mic cord got caught up in Cam Todd's umbrella, and he started walking forward with us. I saw Paul make a real dangerous run at that basket with what happened to Nate Sexton already in this tournament in a previous round. The rollaway can be very real on this hole. Oh, and Michael Joe gave it a good strong run, but it just splashed out. Weak side. That was from right at the circle 2 edge, so right around the 65-foot mark. We could see both Paulie and Michael were fortunate to not have a rollaway there on this dangerous green. And Cam Todd and Dana Vicich are arm's length away from the basket to pick up their deuces. And that's going to be a pair of 2s for Cam Todd. And despite that, that's going to be 3 in a row. Cam Todd is now 3 for 3. Robert, how's your card doing?
Jamie, we're doing pretty solid out here. We're out here on hole 7, which is 1,150 feet downhill, par 5, the longest hole on the course and one of the longest holes I've seen in competition. We've just seen a good group of drives. Nate Sexton was the only one to end up out of bounds, but he did cross over into this next bit of the fairway. So he'll be throwing 3 from just inside the out of bounds stakes. Nate's gone with a power forehand. It's traveled a good portion of the fairway before settling in the middle. He'll have a look at the basket from there, probably from about 280, 300 feet. Jordan Castro will be next to throw. His hyzer was a bit high and too straight out of his hand, looking to head toward the OB left side stakes, but hit a tree just before the OB trench and ended up safe. Fortunate kick. We'd like to see him take advantage of that. And if that carries just a bit, he's definitely taken advantage of the kick. Yeah, Jordan's found himself safe in the fairway, just to the left of the OB stakes, but set up to have a look at this basket for a birdie 4. Ricky Wysocki's drive looked fairly similar to Jordan's, but got a little bit more height and a little bit more left. Ended up about 6 feet from the out-of-bounds stakes, but did stay safe. He's got his Opto Stiletto in his hand. He hangs it out extremely wide, looking for that to miss the trees. And it fights out of the trees. He says thank you to the trees. I don't know if Ricky is much of an environmentalist, but he should go and hug those trees immediately. We saw a similar play from Nikko Locastro yesterday. He went with a rock mid-range for his second shot. He took a straighter line yesterday, a little bit more of a hyzer that he just referred to as a shankopotamus. So there's some new lingo if you're new to disc golf. But he does end up safe inbounds, and he'll have a look at this basket for a birdie 4. We've seen a lot of big numbers out here on hole 7 this week, but yesterday, and I believe we didn't actually see this because of a one rogue running wild big germ that walked in front of the camera, but Cam Todd threw in his third shot from approximately 350 feet away for an eagle 3 on hole 7. Unbelievable 3, so congratulations to you, Cam Todd. It is a fantastic 3 to get out here. Each of our competitors are a little farther back up the fairway than I think they wanted to be on their second shots. They've still got quite a bit of room to travel before they reach the basket. This is Nate Sexton. Looks like he's got his swirly Griffin stamp Star Destroyer in his hand. And a big shot by Nate Sexton. Gets flat. Looks really nice out of his hand. The angle is great. He skips just by the basket, looking for that to sit down, and he does get a green flag. Great shot by Nate Sexton, who now has the opportunity to salvage his par 5 here on the downhill 1,150-foot par 5, hole 7. Ricky Wysocki. His hyzer is pretty high out of his hand. Looks as if it skipped out of bounds near the basket. Ricky's going to be outside of circle 1 for his look at par 5. Nikko Locastro looks as if he'll be next to throw after a mid-range that drifted too far right, caught some trees and stayed safe. Nikko's shot into the green will likely be a flat hyzer. He wants to finish softly. Nikko had a bit of an awkward stance, but he's put a great move on this shot asking for it to get in. It skips just under the basket, settles about 18 feet away. A great shot by Nikko Locastro. Here's Jordan Castro's third shot. I believe that's a Fusion Enforcer. He's put a great high line on it. It's tracking right at the basket. Oh, just right over the top of the basket. That's a great shot by Jordan Castro. That'll leave him approximately 25 feet for his birdie 4. Ricky Wysocki is well out in front of the group, walking to his third shot that trickled out of bounds. It seems as if Ricky Wysocki is a little rattled today, not playing quite as well as he has the last couple of days.
I didn't have a great view. I thought it had hit short of everything. We'll see where the disc ended up. Yeah. Because if he's walking where he is, I think he's crossed. Oh yeah, yeah, if it's there. Yeah.
We seem to have some confusion as to whether Ricky's third shot did in fact cross the inbound stakes. But it seems as if they've seeded that it has, and so Ricky will take a meter inside the stakes. But he'll still be about 45 feet from the basket for his look at par 5. And Ricky's bid for par 5 is low. He's going to be taking a bogey 6 here on hole 7. Here's Nate Sexton for his look at par 5. Nate's putt is right in the middle of the chains. After throwing an out-of-bounds drive, he throws a couple of great shots after that to give himself a par 5 with a penalty stroke here. Jordan Castro looks as if he has 22 feet for his birdie 4. And Jordan's putt is just low, maybe 2 inches low. He's going to have to settle for a 5 here. And Nikko Locastro, after an errant second shot and a great third shot, has this left to clean up for his birdie 4. And Nikko's putt is in for his birdie 4. Nikko's making a bit of a charge this morning as he's birdied, I believe, 6 of our first 7 holes, maybe 5 of our first 7 holes. But Nikko's playing very well right now. Jordan Castro's in for 5, and Ricky Wysocki will be tapping in for a bogey 6. We're going to send it over to Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, who has some drives for us on hole 6.
And welcome back, everyone. We're here on hole number 6. We just watched all 4 competitors throw their drives. Last to throw was, in fact, Paul Ulibarri, who's put himself within 8 feet, maybe 10 feet of the pin. However, I'm going to go ahead and say, unfortunately, I think Paul's chances have just gone from slim to none after that previous hole. Hole 5, he struggled putting back and forth, plus a pair of OB strokes. He walks off of hole number 5 carding a 7, and he sits 8 strokes behind James Cole. James playing very hot here right now, taking the best of both Cale Leviska and Alex Geisinger. If he can keep on this pace, he's going to be looking to move into this afternoon's finals action. James Cole with a 4-stroke lead on the next closest competitor here. And with the birdie, Cale Leviska moves to even par on the round. That's going to put him 3 strokes behind James Cole. Geisinger looking to do the exact same. And high and left, but he still gets it to drop down. And Yuli follows his previous mishap up with a birdie here. That means James Cole is going to relinquish 1 stroke to each of the 3 competitors. However, he has a 3-stroke lead over Cale Leviska and Alex Geisinger, and what will be a 7-stroke lead over Paul Ulibarri. Let's check in with Jamie Thomas, just a few holes behind us.
Welcome back in, guys. We're here on the tee box of 5, waiting for the card that you were just watching to clear out through before we throw. We're actually also waiting on the card ahead of us to putt out. It's been an interesting turn of events so far. Cam Todd on this grouping is 4 down through 4 holes. He's played pretty much perfect golf so far this morning. He's you know, you have to wonder if he took exception to Drew Gibson's comments or not, since he has to come out and play against the odds-on favorite on this card in Paul McBeth. But Cam's showing that he's got a world title too, and he knows what it takes to make it happen. His experience and versatility is showing, and it's left Paul a little bit of a gap, as well as Dana, behind the 2 veterans on tour. The wind has also started to pick up a little bit, which seems to have been Paul's issue so far. He hasn't quite read the wind correctly. His upshot on the previous hole, he just left it a little bit high. He thought the left to right would prevent the hyzer. Oh, and I'm just seeing Nate Doss from my vantage point way down the fairway just missed a putt from right about circle's edge, and he's had a bit of a rough start this morning himself. The good news is I can see the sun coming over the horizon here. We have sunlight on the trees here in Vermont. We're in for a beautiful afternoon as the showers just seem to have missed us. You can see off to the north and the west, kind of rolling away, and hoping that's going to stay that way. Looking forward to some great golf. From my vantage point over here, you can also see that Alex Geisinger on the big par 5 hole number 7 has just cleared the creek. And that's Drew Gibson down there nailing his putt on hole 5. No fear of the water behind him. We hope everybody's enjoying live coverage, the Smashbox TV crew, and I'm Jamie Thomas. Robert McCall have also joined. We're very happy to be teamed up with Terry Miller, Johnny V, and all of our awesome camera operators today. And that's James Conrad putting it right in the center of the chains with a left to right wind. And as the card in front of us moves on to hole 6, we should be prepared to tee off momentarily. Now that this wind you can see down on the flagstick and on the water down by the spotter, it's moving left to right, which is going to make this shot just a little bit more difficult for that right-handed hyzer. Height control is going to be so crucial out here right now. Trying to fade into a wind, trying to fade the right-handed hyzer into a left to right wind, as well as throw downhill. And the spotter's given the all clear. Should be teeing off here momentarily. Cam Todd's going to be first to tee. And that's a perfect shot placed down into the belly of that gully, safe from the water, safe from the OB right. No need to get too risky with an early lead. Michael Joe has swung this outside and higher. Checks down into that belly. Paul has really let one rip here. And he's checked up deep of the pin. He doesn't seem very pleased, but the spotter did not give a clear indication. Oh, and that's trouble for Dana. And that's going to be clear out into the water as he just put that hyzer too far inside. As we take the walk down to the 6th green, let's check in with Terry Miller to see how his card's faring. Terry, how's it going over there?
And welcome back here as we've moved over to hole number 7, the hole that has carded the highest numbers that we've seen in the tournament thus far, both at the Green Mountain Championships as well as here. At the finals, Paul Uliberry is OB. He's confirming with his card as to where he was last inbounds. We also saw James Cole let an errant drive carry wide right and OB. Paul gets that to stand up nicely. If that just finishes out, he's going to find himself in a great position. This was the same hole we saw Cam Todd yesterday throw in a 350-foot fairway ace for the Eagle 3. Well, correction, it wasn't seen because as our cameraman was getting into position, our friend Big Germ Coling found himself squared up with the basket, not allowing you to see the shot. However, it would have possibly been Sports Center worthy had one way or another. Big Germ's going to find himself on ESPN. We have given him a hard time throughout the years as he's been a bystander in so many ESPN appearances. Yesterday, he just blocked it entirely, so although we just give him a hard time, it was a huge throw-in by Cam Todd yesterday right here on hole number 7. Kale Leviska is going to be lining up his second shot. And Kale slips here on the wet grass. We'll see if the disc checks up, and it looks like it's going to. He's found himself in the second landing zone. He's safe from there. Hole 7 measures in at 1,150 feet, and getting an indicator that from the white tees approximately 60 feet behind Alex Geisinger is the 750-foot mark. So we're going to measure this in at approximately 690 feet to the pin, with OB both left and right. Geisinger opts for a forehand. And I'd like to go ahead and clarify for everyone the format that you're seeing today. This is straight up stroke play. This is not a match play event or skins of any kind. This is straight up stroke play. However, only the winner of the card will advance, plus one wild card spot. So the winner of each individual card is the person that will move forward into the finals this afternoon. You're just looking to beat the other 3 competitors on your card. If you're 5 over and everyone is 6 over and beyond, you still win the card. And after James here has a very easy layup attempt, he's just playing down the fairway, looking to minimize the pain here after his initial tee shot carried wide right and OB. Later today, when you join us for the finals, a check will be written to a single disc golfer for $10,000. Again, there will be 5 competitors that move on from this round this morning. The 4 individuals that win the card, along with the next lowest score, all move on. And Yuli trying to duplicate the efforts we saw by Cam Todd yesterday, just in front of the pin. Geisinger with his 3rd shot plays the hyzer out and around the OB. And he's gone deep past the basket. There is OB past the pin. However, he has come up short, so he's looking to be inside 30 feet. And Kale also playing the hyzer. And comes in nicely. He's within 20 feet of the pin. We invite you to share our link. Let everyone know you're watching live disc golf here for the semifinals of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. Joined as well on the mic is Jamie Thomas, along with Robert McCall. And I'm not saying I am the good luck charm here, but we have now seen two throw-ins right here on hole number 7. James Cole with the throw-in. Back-to-back rounds. I can't wait for next round to see what happens with James Cole with a huge throw-in to save his par. It is a par 5 from probably close to 300 feet. What an unbelievable throw-in. Again, duplicating yesterday's efforts that we saw by Cam Todd. I have goosebumps as we're walking down the fairway. James Cole is going to clear that out. That is just to save the par 5. However, he's grinning from ear to ear. What a shot by James Cole. James will clear it out, gets the fist bump by Yuli. And the rest of the competitors still need to do that thing we call putting. However, James Cole took care of that from at least 300 feet away. Went with this sky hyzer shot. And Paul Huliberry's got a little bit more work to do. Again, Paul and the rest of the card were able to get a stroke on James Cole back on hole 6. However, James Cole is not going down without a fight here. He's got the lead on this card. Yuli's attempt is short. This is Alex Geisinger for a birdie 4 here on hole number 7. Geisinger is in. We'll expect Kale Leviska to do the same. And in a few moments, we'll be checking in with another card. I hear there's some sweet action taking place. Let's check in with Jamie Thomas, see what's going on with Cam Todd and the rest of the group.
Well, thanks, Terry. Sweet action may be a little bit more like bittersweet. Cam Todd, who was 4 down through 4 holes, huge swing just happened on hole 5 as he placed his drive very nicely in the safe area. He went to lay up. Again, we were talking about that left to right wind. The wind lifted his disc above the grass where he wanted to land it. It hit the base of the basket, picked up and rolled down the hill out of bounds. And then after he marks his lie, his next putt splashes out weak side. Just another example of the wind, which in that putt would have turned into a headwind, just held that putter up enough that it didn't make a strong enough impact into the chains, and pushing it down into the basket, it just kicked it straight out. So Cam Todd went from being 4 down through 4 to taking a double bogey 5 on that hole. However, the card was able to recover on the next hole. Star frame just occurred on hole 6. Everybody making easy work of what could be a relatively difficult card. Also should mention that Dana Vicich, who we saw throw in the water on hole 6, was able to can that 3P putt and save himself from that bogey stroke. It looks like we have a little bit of a hold up through the cards right now, so let's take a word from our sponsors. We'll be back in just a minute with some more live disc golf from the Disc Golf Pro Tour Finals in Smuggler's Notch, Vermont.
If I lay up, I get a personal best. But if I hit the putt, it's a new course record.
Wow, and a fantastic putt by Nikko Locastro here on hole 10. He took an unfortunate bogey after a very errant drive. It looked as if it slipped out of his hand, but he got up and down for his bogey 4, but a great putt from approximately 42 feet for Nikko here on hole 10. Next, the putt will be Jordan Castro from 28 feet. Jordan Castro continues his solid play out here in the semifinal round as he puts in for his birdie. That takes him to 5 under on the round, which is tied for the lead on this card. Nate Sexton has just 15 feet left, maybe even 12 feet.
Good hit, Nate.
Right in the middle. And Ricky Wysocki from approximately 8 feet is up and in. So we've got a couple of our competitors sitting at 5 under par. Nate Sexton and Jordan Castro are at 5 under par. Nikko Locastro, after the bogey on 9 and birdie on 10, is sitting at 4 under par. And Ricky Wysocki, the Green Mountain Championship winner, is sitting at 3 under par. We have an extremely short walk here to hole 11, so we're going to stick with this group as we await their drives here on the 575-foot par 4 hole 11. If you're just tuning into the broadcast, we'd like to welcome you to Live Disc Golf, presented by Smashbox TV. We are live at the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale in our semifinal round. So we've got 16 competitors on 4 cards right now. And the format is simple. If you win your card, you're in the finals. So we will have those 4 competitors that win the 4 cards in the finals, and then we will have 1 wild card, which is just the next best score after the card winners, who will also be in the finals. If you do secure a spot in the finals, the minimum cash, second place or 5th place, doesn't matter, is $2,000. The winner will be taking home $10,000. First on the tee will be Jordan Castro, wearing his Super America shirt. And Jordan's drive is tight to the tree. It does hit the tree in the middle of the fairway, but kicks down safe. We saw Jeremy Colling hit this tree yesterday, but kick out of bounds left, and so Jordan will still have an opportunity to make a birdie. Here's Nate Sexton. Nate's opted for a star destroyer that's hung out to the right, catches some limbs, and then kicks back to the left. It's come up short of his ideal landing zone, but he should have a decent look at the green from there, albeit a longer one. Ricky Wysocki has a Lucid Enforcer for his tee shot. And Ricky's put a great move on this shot, asking for it to get left. Gets a bit of a skip. He'll likely have a forehand look at the downhill green. And Nikko Locastro unleashes on his drive. A beautiful straight drive. It's faded well to the left. Gets some good adulation from the gallery as he has put his drive in an A1 position in this fairway. He will likely have a look at the downhill green. Once you get to the rock wall that separates our players from the basket right now, the green slopes away probably 15 or so degrees, maybe 20 degrees, downhill and to the right. And there are a lot of trees to navigate to get down into the green area. And so the closer you are to this green, the more likely you are to be able to shape your line the way that you want to. Jordan Castro conferring with his caddy, Eric Oakley. Jordan's drive is out to the left. There are OB stakes over there. It will be difficult to tell if that's out of bounds until we walk up on it. Looks as if Jordan was just a bit tentative as he tells himself to throw the disc. After hitting a couple of limbs and kicking to the left, Nate Sexton will be next to throw. He's got a Sexton Firebird in his hand, so this will be a forehand approach. Nate's Firebird has good speed, it just needs to miss some trees. Looks like he's jumped just over the rock wall, finished its flight just over the rock wall, so depending on the skip and action that he gets down the hill, Nate Sexton may have a decent look for a birdie 3 here. Ricky is surveying the green to try to predict what his disc is going to do and try and find the optimal line in to have a look at the basket. If you can see where Ricky is standing right now, the big tree to his right, the thickest one that there is where the out-of-bounds stakes end and where the downslope to the green begins. So if he were to cut it tight to that tree, that's probably the most open look at the basket. However, it is very tight to the tree to ensure he doesn't end up out of bounds early. Ricky's got a harp for his forehand approach. It's low out of his hand. And hits the second tree that shapes that fairway down to the green. Looks as if he settled about 60 feet from the basket. And after an absolute crush of a drive, here's Nikko Locastro. Turnover putter in his hand. Not happy with it out of his tree as he hits a couple of trees. Just like the old pinball wizard. And Nikko's going to end up probably 70 feet left of this basket. Several trees to contend with. And Jordan Castro's approach did end up out of bounds, so he'll be throwing his fourth from here. Jordan Castro's got a mid of some type in his hand. He's been throwing a lot of fuses, so it might be a fuse. Yeah, I assume that is a fuse, as he is absolutely pure the Anheuser line. Great shot by Jordan Castro to salvage a bogey 5. And Ricky nearly falls prey to the slick rocks here, but keeps his balance. First to putt will be Nikko Locastro from just inside Circle 2's edge. When we say Circle 2, we mean 66 or so feet, Circle 1 being about 33 feet. And when we say inside the circle, we mean inside the Circle 1's edge, so inside 33 feet. That's where players may not follow through after their putt. From Nikko's putt, he may follow through after he releases the putter. It's got a good angle. Oh, and just comes in soft. Nikko is not pleased after throwing a fantastic drive. Less than stellar upshot is going to leave him with a par 4 here. Ricky and Nate Sexton are conferring together about something here. Maybe about Nate's lie, how he can get back behind his disc as his Firebird has settled in front of a tree and some brush, just to make sure that he can get a safe and legal stance. Nate Sexton's putt is up and just a bit too high over the basket. Looks like he's going to run away maybe 25 feet, 20 feet past the basket. He'll have a bit of work left for his par 4. And Ricky Wysocki from 60 feet is just off the right side. He's gone just past Nate Sexton. We want to see what's going on in a different part of the course. So, Jamie Thomas, what's going on with your card right now?
Hey, Robert. We're here on 7 right now, the long par 5. And this group is tied up right now. It's very tight. Michael Joe is throwing his third shot. Oh, and he went a little bit deep. He's going to have a really tough mark. He may be on the skinny neck leading into the green that's pin high to the right. Dana has also struggled a little bit on this hole. His first shot caught a tree branch, and then, well, what was tricking the competitors here off the tee was that stiff left to right. And the one gap that the players were trying to hit with that right-handed hyzer, it was pushing it and challenging that right side OB. All the players did manage to get in bounds, but Dana got knocked down short, and on his second shot, he tried to play the same wind, but the wind wasn't there. So his destroyer shot skipped hard out of bounds left, and he was forced to take that penalty stroke. He did throw to the green and get the green flag. However, he and Cam Todd are on the back edge of the green putting from that canopy, so they're going to have a tough putt. Cam for birdie and Dana for par. Meanwhile, Paul McBeth has put a signature stamp on this hole. He should have no problem getting his birdie here. The big question is right now, when looking at all the other scores, and you know these competitors have to be paying attention, who is going to get that wild card? On some of the other cards, it's a little more delineated who's winning, but right now we are knotted up. We should see some shifting after this hole, but not a whole lot at the same time. So the group's trying to determine where Michael Johansen went out of bounds. Looks like they're going to say he crossed on the green. That's a pretty generous spot considering what our camera angle looked like. I would expect him to be further back to the right, closer to where Dana's standing now. However, I'm not on the card, so it's not my call. Generous spot or not, here's Michael Joe to save 5. I'm just a little bit short off the cage there. The wind really does not know what it wants to do today. From where we're standing about 70 feet from the basket, I can feel a headwind on my face, but I look at the pin, and the flagstick is dead still. Let's see how this affects Cam coming out of that tree cover. Looked like he short-armed it just a little bit. And Dana's going to have a similar putt. Not too much of a wind read to be made off of Cam's attempt. Oh, and he asked for it to stay up, and he gets it. That's Dana saving his par. Excellent putt from Dana Vicich. As Paul gets his 4. Dana was the lowest seeded player to make his way into the semifinals here at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships. We're going to take a short walk over to the par 4 hole number 8 as we watch the veterans tap in. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay with us. You're watching Live Disc Golf on Smashbox TV.
And welcome back, everyone, to hole number 10. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. We have Alex Geisinger just on the circle's edge, looking at exactly 10 meters from the pin. I'll give you a quick score update here with card number 2. We've got James Cole sitting at 2 under par. Cale Leviska at even. Geisinger at even. And Paul Ulibarri at +4. And Geisinger will remain at even par on the round. Cale Leviska sits at even par prior to this putt. This is an all but a tap in here for Leviska, looking at no more than 18 feet from the pin, just directly on top of it. Geisinger may have just messed up the star frame in terms of coverage this weekend. I think I've seen perfect birdies every time that we have covered this hole thus far. I believe there's been 12 opportunities, and it looks like there may be 11 birdies, assuming both Cole and Yuli convert. James Cole with the hyzer putt. He's going to retain his 2-stroke advantage over Cale Leviska and now move to a 3-stroke advantage over Alex Geisinger. They're just past halfway through the course. This is card number 2. We'll be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors. You're watching the semifinals right here on Smashbox TV of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships.
The Mach-X features a unified chain assembly, connecting both layers of chain to a single point. The soft outer chain slows the disc on impact, while the high-tension X-pattern inner chains stop all forward momentum, securing the putt. With 40 unified strands of chain, the Mach-X is the evolution of disc golf.
Legacy Discs and Upper Park Designs have collaborated to bring you this new edition Rebel backpack bag. The Rebel has a 25 disc capacity with vertical and horizontal storage. The bag is lightweight and very functional, one of the best on the market. Pre-order yours now through discgolfblackmarket.com and you will receive a limited edition stamp of our long-awaited disc, The Enemy. I'm Steve Rico, and I approve this message.
Legacy!
And welcome back to hole number 11. We just saw Paul Ulibarri throw his tee shot as the sun comes out from behind the clouds and is blinding the competitors. Cale with a nice flex shot. He's trying to sweep that over to the left. However, not the skip he was expecting. And Alex asked for it to not hit it, but James feels like it was a favorable kick. And Geisinger appears to have this dialed. This is a 575-foot par 4, hole number 11, which requires a accurate tee shot and an even more accurate approach shot to a downsloping green with a very protected putting area. There's a lot of random guardian trees that protect the basket here. We're working with a 50% Minnesota card here today with Alex Geisinger and Cale Leviska. Paul Ulibarri rarely resides anywhere, but when he does, it's typically Arizona. I think we'll see him going back there during the very brief off season that he takes. And we also are joined by James Cole from Tennessee. And if that stayed clean, sounds like we're getting a few claps and applause from the gallery up on the upper ridge here of hole number 11. If that stayed clean, he's going to be looking at a relatively short birdie putt. Cale going with an inside gap. Finds himself also near the basket. The gallery again applauds. And folks, you guys are being treated to a nearly textbook attempt, or approach I should say, at this hole. Three of our competitors throwing very nice drives as well as very effective approach shots here. We'll see if Alex can follow suit with the rest of the group. He's checking out the line. As I said, there are a number of guardian trees between him and the basket. There's a few very distinct lines that one can take. It's just a matter of navigating downward, plus not going too far past the basket, as you can be challenged with some guardian trees in your way if you're putting back up toward the pin. And Geisinger asking it for it to get low. As I said, if you go too far past this basket, there is a row of trees that makes it very difficult to putt back toward the pin. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and checking out the live action right here for the Tour Championships. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, joined by my fellow commentators who have been carrying most of the workload this weekend, both Jamie Thomas as well as Robert McCall. We'd like to thank both of them for helping out here at the Tour Championships as well as the Green Mountain Championships, which, of course, Ricky Wysocki took down yesterday quite handedly, taking home over $3,200 in payout for his first place efforts. James Cole is left with less than 20 feet for the birdie 3. And no problems for Cole. He will retain his lead. James started off very hot, was at 1.4 strokes in front of the next closest competitor. That was back on hole number 6. However, after not birdieing 6, both Geisinger and Cale Leviska got within 3 strokes of him. Paul Ulibarri's birdie on 6 brought him back to within 7 strokes. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, any competitor that goes deep of this pin can be challenged by that row of trees where Kale Leviska is just perched up next to. He did not get behind them. Kale with a straddle putt. We see Alex will also be right next to him. Yesterday we saw a number of putts come in and roll right near where Alex is, and a few feet further behind him, and he would have been in a world of trouble. However, it looks like he should be able to take a relatively comfortable stance. A slight straddle putt. I'm expecting this to be good. And Alex is in. Paul Ulibarri with a much less obstructed putt. 4 birdies in 4 opportunities here on hole 11 would certainly be textbook, as I mentioned before. These guys have played this nearly perfectly. We'll see if Ulibarri can convert. He's got a lot of work to do if he wants to catch up to the rest of his card mates here. And Yuli converts 4 for 4 here on hole 11. These guys all playing like they want to get into that finals for a piece of that $10,000 check that will be written later. We'll be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors. Stay tuned. You're watching the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships right here at Smuggler's Notch Resort in Vermont. We'll be back in a few moments.
in.
Come on, go.
Go in.
Come on, Alex. Go. Stuck into the cabbage. Dude, I think I'm going blind.
And Alex Geisinger second guessing his eyesight here. We saw James Cole come up short and left. I believe he threw a slight turnover with what looked to be a mid-range, more than likely a rock. And Cole is going to let these guys get back into it with a OB stroke here. And we've got some very cool,
The thing is beautiful.
off to do a Geico commercial maybe? I don't know. Not sure exactly what that is. Madison Walker, we're missing you so you can identify and take a look at the wildlife that we're seeing out here at Smuggler's Notch Resort. I forget the exact name for it, but I know this is a swimming hole of sorts that the resort guests are welcome to come out and take part of here at Smuggler's Notch. Kale Leviska needs to remain a little bit distant from some of the wildlife. A few years ago, back at the Beaver State Fling, he tried to get a little up close and personal with a squirrel. Not sure that really worked out in his favor. James Cole getting a clarification here by Kale and possibly the spotter as to where he was last inbounds. And again, with this OB stroke, if James cannot convert and he takes a penalty 4, he's certainly going to be opening the door for possibly even a tie by the end of this hole. However, it looks like he's going to get a spot inside the circle's edge. He's going to be looking at just inside 30 feet uphill to save his par 3. And he's going to retrieve his disc, but first Kale's going to putt. And Kale's jumper from 39 feet is just a few inches short.
Where are you at? Oh, you're having, yeah, I think so. Right there, and you up there.
And James Cole saves the par. That is the second time this round we've seen him throw one in from this will be Geisinger for the birdie. And Geisinger's going to pick up a stroke here on James Cole with the birdie 2. And no problems for Paul Ulibarri. Kale will tap in. And like James Cole, he'll be taking a 3. We're going to look for some other action out here at Smuggler's Notch Resort. That was hole number 12 with our second card. We'll see if we can move on to the par 4. We'll be back with you in a few moments right here for the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships.
And welcome in, everybody. Here we are on hole 10, watching the 8:30 card. Just saw Paul McBeth frustrated after missing a putt on 9. He was third on the tee box, and his forehand with, I believe, it's a destroyer. He's been throwing forehand right onto the lock of the basket and just trickled off a few feet. Should be an easy tap-in birdie for him. The sun's starting to come out, starting to heat up a little bit out here. And as the world's warming up over in this corner of the earth, the gallery's warming up, the players are warming up, we're in for some very good play for the rest of the day. I mean, it's such a tight race between these 4 competitors on this card right now. Leads have come and gone and shifted and changed. Brand new format to disc golf, or at least in the modern era of disc golf, and it makes the competitors play a little bit differently, and it makes them value each shot more than they otherwise would. And Dana is going to be furthest out, Dana Vicich, from about 45 feet, pin high. Right in the center of the heart. That's a big stroke to gain right there after we just saw Todd, I believe, take a bogey on the last hole. And Michael Johansen has given up a couple strokes over the last holes as well, so what we could see develop here is a 2-horse race between McBeth and the lowest seeded in terms of the Pro Tour rankings to make the semifinals in Dana Vicich. Two of the big Cinderella stories out here this weekend are Snapper Cole and Dana himself. At last check, Snapper was holding on to a tight lead, and Dana is charging, making a run. And remember that the 4 players that win their cards will automatically advance to these finals, with the wild card going to the lowest score of the rest of the bunch. So we're going to move on to the par 4 hole number 11. We'll check back with you in just a moment. Get a word from our sponsors who have so generously supported us. You're watching the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
The Mach X's M-Link system takes basket performance to a new level, allowing for more outer chains without the excess weight. Outfitted with the new Trapper Basket 2 technology, the Mach X has a 10-inch deep tray with additional support railing, eliminating bounce outs.
Welcome back here to the Fox Run Meadows Disc Golf Course. We've just seen Nate Sexton throw a beautiful hyzer on this uphill 380-foot par 3 hole 15. We are on the home stretch of this course with our competitors tightly grouped. Here's Ricky Wysocki with a Fusion Enforcer. Ricky's Enforcer is on a pretty tight line. Oh no, it hits a tree and rolls backwards. He does get a green flag, so he didn't roll out of bounds, but that was a very unfortunate break. Here's Nikko Locastro. Nikko's line is also left out of his hand. Gets a bit of a skip up the hill. He will likely have a putt, but he'll be impeded by a lot of trees. Last of two will be Jordan Castro. Jordan goes with what I believe is a Lucid Defender on a great line. Oh, and he hits a tree and gets a bit of a roll back. Oh no, and it curls back down the hill some more. What a heartbreaking roll. Wow. It's just super unlucky for Jordan Castro right there. I want to give you a brief score update on our players right now. We've got Nate Sexton sitting at 8 under par. Nikko Locastro at 7 under par, and then both Ricky Wysocki and Jordan Castro sitting at 6 under par. So we've got some great play coming out of our competitors on this first tee time. I was just speaking with Nate Sexton a moment ago, and he said it's unfortunate that these players are grouped together on this card because he feels that they are probably outplaying the other cards on the course. And so as we spoke of earlier, the format today is that if you win your card, you're in. And then there's one wild card score that gets in as well. So even if, let's say the round were to finish exactly how it does right now, Nate Sexton would be in by winning the card with an 8 under. Nikko Locastro would probably be in as a wild card with his 7 under. And even if every other card shot over par, Ricky Wysocki and Jordan Castro would be left out. So they're both going to need to make quite a move if they want to hop the other two competitors. After drying off his hand with his whale sack clay bag, thank you Tina Stenitis for whale sacks, Jordan throws his approach approximately 10 feet from the basket. Here's Ricky Wysocki. Approximately 90 feet, just puts it under the basket. Nikko Locastro has a relatively open straddle putt from approximately 48 feet. I'm surprised that he's opted for the left side straddle. Nikko's birdie attempt is in. Nikko has been putting lights out today as he throws one in from approximately 48 feet. Eric Oakley informs us that he's making all these putts because he's wearing jeans today. Jeans and a nice semi-formal sweater for Nikko Locastro. The best driver of the group, Nate Sexton, from 20 feet. Nate's putt is in for birdie, so he maintains his one-stroke lead over Nikko Locastro. Ricky Wysocki taps in for par. And Jordan Castro taps in for par. Tough breaks for Jordan Castro and Ricky Wysocki as they got rolls away from the basket. They've only got a few holes left if they intend to make up some strokes. We're going to go to a brief word from our sponsors, and then we'll come back with some more live disc golf action right here on Smashbox TV.
Legacy Discs and Upper Park Designs have collaborated to bring you this new edition Rebel backpack bag. The Rebel has a 25 disc capacity with vertical and horizontal storage. The bag is lightweight and very functional, one of the best on the market. Pre-order yours now through discgolfblackmarket.com and you will receive a limited edition stamp of our long-awaited disc, The Enemy. I'm Steve Rico, and I approve this message.
Legacy!
Welcome back here to the Fox Run Meadows course. We are on hole 16 and Nate Sexton has just thrown a picture-perfect drive in front of the red tee. Here's Nikko Locastro's hyzer. Nico's landed his disc within 10 feet of Nate Sexton's, so they'll have approximately 270 feet to the basket. And Ricky opts for the aggressive line as he is a few strokes back. It's carrying really well. Oh, and he's made it back in bounds. Sorry for the thumbs up in the camera. I just got excited because we just saw about a 570-foot shot uphill. Pretty incredible. Jordan Castro's hyzer looks very similar to Sexton's and Locastro's. He's put himself a few feet behind their drive, but will have an open look at this basket. As I said just before, we are running out of holes for Green Mountain champion Ricky Wysocki. By the way, that's 4-time Green Mountain champion Ricky Wysocki, and Jordan Castro, a qualifier from yesterday and a fan favorite, to make their move to pick up some strokes on both Nikko Locastro and Nate Sexton. I believe I've said this each time we've been on hole 16 here on the Fox Run course, but every time we walk to this spot, I'm just astounded at the beauty that is around us. If you have not made it out to Smuggler's Notch, Vermont, you need to come and check this out. It is an unbelievable place to play disc golf, but also just to be out in the mountains, and driving through the Notch is quite an experience. If you haven't heard about Paul McBeth, the Notch is a very, very narrow stretch of road coming into town here, and Paul McBeth has his very large truck and then very, very large RV that he got through the Notch no problem. Once you come up here and check it out, you'll know exactly how difficult that was. First to throw will be Jordan Castro. Jordan's opted for the big hyzer, coming in at a great angle.
Yeah, buddy.
He's put it about 10 feet from the basket. Great shot. Nikko Locastro's upshot with a soft Venus looks great and settles, I believe, under the base assembly of the basket. He'll have an absolute drop-in 3 for birdie. Nate Sexton approaches with his R-Pro dart. Comes up a bit short of the basket, but probably only 15 feet. And we're still walking past our other competitors' drives up to Ricky Wysocki's drive. which was an absolute crunch up this hill, over out of bounds the entire way. It just faded back in bounds. Looks at about the Circle 2's edge, maybe just a bit outside. Oh, he's basically right on the flag, so he will be sitting at 66, 68 feet for his eagle opportunity here on hole 16. Oh, and his eagle opportunity is just short. And it looks as if Ricky knows he's only got 2 holes left to make up, I think, 3 strokes on leader Nate Sexton. Great putt for birdie 3 by Nate Sexton. As you see in the background, we've got some people in helmets. There is a canopy tour available here in Smuggler's Notch, so if you haven't been on a zip line, you might want to come and check that out here. Ricky taps in for what might be the most disappointed birdie a person has had. Jordan Castro is in for birdie 3, and Nico's drop-in is a mere formality at this point. We're moving over to hole 17 with our lead card, but we're going to send it over to Jamie Thomas. As we've heard, we've got several hot scores coming from the card he's with right now. Jamie, tell us what's going on.
Well, welcome into 13 here. We're going to watch Nate Doss drive really quick. And Nate's placed a spike hyzer perfectly upon the landing zone down there on this treacherous par 4 hole 13. And the story here today, guys, is not Nate Doss, and it's not Drew Gibson. It's Peter McBride, the young player out of San Luis Obispo, California. You regional Californians will definitely know who he is. He's been touring regionally and playing on the more local scene since he was really young. He's playing for Legacy Discs right now, I believe. He's repping, or at least repping, he's repping Voodoo on his shirt. And if you don't know this kid, he could be a stud coming up. He's still a teenager, and his stats are speaking to an experience way beyond his years. He is 100% on his fairways hit today. He is playing this course like it's his home course, and he's played it thousands of times. Really impressive to see a young guy like Peter make this charge against, obviously, the odds-on favorite Nate Doss, and then Drew Gibson, who sort of, I don't want to say tanked is not the right word, but he navigated his position in the seed round in order to not face Paul McBeth. If he were facing Paul McBeth, he might be winning that card at the moment. Instead, the young gun and Peter, whom Nate and Drew definitely know and have definitely competed against, has been the story of the day here. As we get in a position on the fairway, looks to be Gibson and Doss are right near each other. So it should be Nate to go first. It's got a slight left turning fairway, no real wind to speak of here on this hole. Nate threw a hard over staple disc. That might be the Predator we saw him throwing yesterday as well. Trusting it to come back in. I think he wanted a little more out of it. Oh, excuse me, that's going to be Peter right next to Nate. And he's dead centered in the gap here as the headwind starts to pick up. It's going to be a little bit tougher of a shot. And he gets the green flag. He sneaks in front of that stake. And we've just heard from Robert McCall overfalling the first tee time that Ricky Wysocki has thrown out of bounds on 17, and that may all but end his chances at $10,000 in the finals later this afternoon. We watch James Conrad. Gonna need to put a little bit of a flex on this shot if he wants to make it to the green. And flex indeed, he needs it to wheel. Oh, and he gets the green flag, a little tickle off the tree, and he's inbounds. It's such a shocker for Ricky Wysocki, who was by far the favorite to win this event. He's won the Green Mountain Championship 4 years running. This is the first stumble we've seen out of Ricky, really all year. He's always been in close races or taken home the victory, but to not make the finals is a storyline in and of itself. Ooh, Drew flexing his muscles, throwing the power hyzer and flashing across the face of the basket there. We're going to move on up the fairway with these guys on hole 13. Let's get a word from some of our wonderful sponsors on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Legacy Discs and Upper Park Designs have collaborated to bring you this new edition Rebel backpack bag. The Rebel has a 25 disc capacity with vertical and horizontal storage. The bag is lightweight and very functional, one of the best on the market. Pre-order yours now through discgolfblackmarket.com and you will receive a limited edition stamp of our long-awaited disc, The Enemy. I'm Steve Rico, and I approve this message.
Legacy!
And welcome back, everyone. We are here on hole number 15 watching Alex Geisinger from just inside circle 2 give it a great run that hits off the front of the basket. And at no point has James Cole been not leading this card number 2. He sits at 6 under par. Cale Leiviska is at 5 under. Alex Geisinger will remain at 2 under, and Paul Ulibarri sits at even par. So right now, this appears to be just a 2-horse race. James Cole and Cale Leiviska, again, just 1 stroke apart. Cale is just outside the circle's edge. He could tie this up with a solid putt on 15. And Yuli's famous step putt does not convert again. Cale Leiviska is looking to possibly tie this up. At one point he was 4 strokes behind Cole. If he converts here, they will be tied with just 3 to play. And high left side, Kale Leviska is in. That's going to tie him up with James Cole. Right now it is a 2-horse race, as I said. Someone moving into the final 4 will likely come of either Kale Leviska or James Cole. What a solid putt by Kale Leviska. Kale and James both at 6 under par. Geisinger at 2 under par. Paul Uliberry at even. We're moving over to hole number 16, where Robert McCall has a clarification as to how the playoffs will go down if needed.
Thank you, Terry. As we hear some applause for Jordan Castro in the background, we're down here on the fairway of hole 18. On hole 17, Ricky threw his drive out of bounds, missed his 3rd shot, and then missed his 4th. So Ricky took a 5. He's basically out at this point. He's just thrown a huge hyzer that's going to land safe, which is a great shot. Jordan Castro is in safe. However, our card leaders, Nate Sexton and Nikko Locastro, who are at, I believe, 10 under par and 9 under par, respectively, both threw out of bounds. Nate Sexton's drive came in well left, hit the OB stake, curled in bounds, and came back out of bounds. And then Nico's just skidded out of bounds at the last second. So here's a bit of clarification on the playoff process if 2 players end up tied on a card. The playoff holes will be holes 18, holes 18, 1, and 2. If the players are still tied after 18, 1, and 2, then the tiebreaker will be Disc Golf Pro Tour points. So it'll be sudden death. If somebody birdies 18 and the other pars, that person wins. It's not collective score over those holes. However, if after 18, 1, and 2, each of the players has pushed the holes, we will go to Disc Golf Pro Tour point standings for the entire series in order to determine the winner. Our round here on the first tee time has been relatively not dramatic, except for Ricky's fall from grace here. He's played well all weekend and put down some great scores, but just didn't quite have it today. He took a bogey early, and then Nate Sexton and Nikko Locastro have absolutely pushed and picked up birdie after birdie after birdie. However, with these drives going out of bounds on 18, you can tell that the mood is a bit tense here. There's a lot of excitement in the air as Nate Sexton can get up and down for par here. He would secure himself a position in the finals this afternoon. Now, if Jordan Castro were to take birdie from his lie that's in bounds and Nikko were to take birdie, they would be tied and go to a playoff, presumably for the wild card spot. Nate Sexton's gone with a Sexton Firebird. He's put a great line on this shot. Looks like he's ended up around Circle 2's edge, maybe just inside. He will have a putt to save his par 4 and secure himself a position in the finals. Jordan's forehand has come out well left. He's looking to get a skip. He has skipped back in bounds. Looks as if he's found himself inside circle one. Jordan Castro will have a putt for birdie here. And if Nikko is unable to get up and down for his par, that will tie Jordan Castro and Nikko Locastro. My palms are a bit sweaty and I'm not even throwing frisbees. That should tell you how exciting it is out here. Nikko's approach with the soft Venus has a good turn on it. It just needs to hold. Looks like it is. Oh, wow. And under pressure, Nikko has thrown an absolutely clutch shot to presumably save his par 4 and possibly secure himself the wild card spot, depending on what happens with Nate Sexton's putt. And Pro Tour Director Steve Dodge, he's telling me not to tell you. He can tell you.
This is simply one of the most exciting groups of rounds I've ever seen. Not only is there going to be discussion about the fact that one card is harder than the other, not that anybody would know that before the round, but additionally, each of these cards has different people challenging for the win on their card. It is exactly as we had hoped, and it is very fun. For example, watching Nate Sexton walk down here, and he knows he has a stroke on Nikko, and he knows they both probably have the wild card. Should he lay up this putt just to make sure he doesn't double bogey? It's something to think about.
Absolutely, and you've got to wonder if his brutal rollaway on hole 3 from our second round is in his head. He said something about it earlier on hole 3, and so let's see what Nate decides to do. He is at 30 feet. He's made hundreds of thousands of these putts before, but this one may have the biggest cash bonus on the line. With absolute ice in his veins, Nate Sexton puts his par putt in. Safe par after going OB. Nate Sexton has secured himself a spot in the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale. Get some love from caddy Eagle McMahon. Here's Jordan Castro for birdie. And a great birdie 3 for Jordan Castro. He's going to finish at 8 under par 55, which is an absolutely fantastic round out here. However, as Nikko drops in his par 4, Jordan Castro is going to miss the finals, likely by 1 stroke. Wow. Jordan Castro's score of 8 under might have won any other card today. It remains to be seen, but an unfortunate break for Jordan Castro, but a great turnout here on hole 18. We're going to stay here on hole 18 and see some tee shots as they come in. We will keep you updated on who has solidified their spot in the Pro Tour finale. We'll go to a brief word from our sponsors and bring you back some more live disc golf action here at the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Flashlight LED disc golf discs just changed the game. The unique Disco Select feature allows everyone to choose their own color by simply pressing the middle button, then pressing it again during the first rotation of colors when the one you want appears. Or you can leave it in disco mode, rotating through the 6 different colors for the duration of your game. Designed by serious professionals, crafted from Night Eye's unrivaled sure grip material, and featuring Night Eye's patented fiber optics array, these discs strike the perfect balance of durability, stability, performance, and just plain awesomeness. With easily replaceable batteries and an uber long life, The Flash Flight driver, mid-range, and putter will shine as they blaze your path to victory, day or night. Night Eyes. Discover your solution.
If I lay up, I get a personal best. But if I hit the putt, it's a new course record.
Welcome back to the tee on 15 here. This is Nate Doss leading from the box.
Shot, Nate.
Uphill 380 feet. This is a pro par 3. It's going to play over 400 with the slope. Favors the right-handed hyzer.
Shot, Pete.
Peter and Nate are in similar positions, going to have tester putts, but in the window, it's pin right. Drew heard a noise from the gallery and was able to stop and reset. He's unleashed a big power hyzer. And he's somehow found out of bounds off of that. Here's James Conrad. And he's taken a Star Destroyer with Avery Jenkins' signature on it and thrown straight and hard, and he gets the green flag. Oh, excuse me, that may have been Avery Jenkins' T-Bird. And we're going to walk up the fairway here. Once again, if you guys are just tuning in, Ricky Wysocki taking 4th place on his card, and he is going to be nowhere near the score needed to get to the wild card. Right now, Nikko Locastro sitting at 9 down. Is holding down that wild card spot. However, Nate Doss is at 8 down, and Peter McBride still holding on to that solid lead, still holding on to that 100% fairways hit statistic. He may take down the first seed going into the finals. Have to see what he does. This is bad news right now for Drew Gibson, who is also fighting for a spot on that card. Fighting for that $10,000 prize. He's walked up very quickly to try to get to his disc. He could use a miracle here. He really needs to get that 3P. And while we're waiting, we're going to watch Drew's putt. Then we're going to send it over to Terry Miller on 17. But first, Drew Gibson for 3P and to save a spot coming down the stretch. And that's a huge par save for Drew Gibson right there. Every stroke counts right there. And that's outside the circle, inside the chains. Terry, what's going on in 17?
Thank you, Jamie. We just watched Alex Geisinger put in, although he is going to be out of the competition, and James Cole is going to have a 2-stroke swing. He was tied with Cale Leiviska at the previous, before they teed off here. He parks it. Leiviska goes OB, and James Cole has a 2-stroke lead going into the final hole. Cale Leiviska is going to need some Minnesota magic here if he's going to chase down James Cole, who's been leading this entire round. They're headed to hole number 18. We'll be back with you in a few moments. You're watching live disc golf of the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Uh-oh. That's out of bounds. Welcome back to hole 18 here at the Fox Run Meadows course. We've just seen James Cole, who just took a 2-throw lead over Cale Leiviska on 18, throw his tee shot out of bounds. Here's Paul Ulibarri. Ulibarri has gotten a little bit of turn on his drive, and it looks magnificent. What a huge drive by Paul Ulibarri down by the tree in the middle of the fairway. He'll have under 200 feet to the basket for his birdie 3. Next on the tee will be Alex Geisinger. From what I understand, he, I think, is out of contention on his card, so I would love to see a huge shot here from Alex Geisinger, one of the longest throwers in the world. And he's going for it. He's got way too much turn on it, though, so he's going to end up out of bounds. And Cale Leiviska needs to put this drive in bounds to give himself a shot at tying the lead. Cale's got plenty of height on this shot. It's going to be coming in center fairway. He will be safe, and so Cale will have an opportunity to take a birdie 3 here, pending his upshot. One of the things that our players have to be concerned about as they come down 18's fairway and just the last few holes is not only if they're winning their card, but if they have a shot at taking the wild card. For instance, just a moment ago, we had Nate Sexton finish a round at 10 under par, which is an absolutely fantastic round out here. If the ratings from the previous rounds held true, that would be around a 1070 rated round, which is just blazing. Nikko Locastro finished at 9 under par, which was also an incredible round, around 1060. And so Nikko said, Nate and Nikko were talking, and they said, well, whichever one of us wins probably has the wild card locked up. So we went to the scores here, and Peter McBride is through 15 holes and is already 10 under par. Drew Gibson and Nate Doss are both 8 under par. So with 3 holes to go, if either one of Nate or Drew birdie 2 of those holes, they would take the wild card spot from Nikko, as they'd be sitting at 10 under par. Alex Geisinger is asking for the spot that his drive went out of bounds. Eyeing up the basket. Alex probably has the distance to go for just a big hyzer. I don't know if the wind is going to allow it, as it is a bit of a left to right wind, but Alex throws extremely far, so it's definitely a possibility. And it looks like he is lining up a big hyzer. That has to be approximately, I don't know, 400, 410 feet. Oh my goodness, it sounded like a rocket coming out of his hand. He's got a great angle on it. Oh, and he's tombstoned into the ground, probably around the circle's edge, maybe a bit outside. A massive hyzer from Alex Geisinger. I love the sportsmanship from somebody like Alex, who is not going to win his card, nor will he take the wild card, but is still willing to put on a show for our spectators here. It is extremely fun to watch. James Cole is asking for a spot here. And this is an incredibly important approach for James Cole. He needs to get up and down for a par to secure the win on this card. If he takes bogey 5 and Cale takes birdie 3, they will be tied and be forced to go into a playoff. James opted for a rock turnover, catches some leaves that slows it down just a bit, but it is still tracking toward the basket. Looks like he'll be about at the circle's edge for his par save to secure his victory on this card. Kale Visca likely has an M4 in his hand. He's looking to split the two trees and put this one close. The angle is great. The height is the only question. Looks like he's come up inside of James Cole's disc. So James will be first to putt. And approximately 100 or 150 feet in front of our other competitors is Paul Ulibarri's drive. Absolute mash. Ulibarri is also out of contention for the win here, but I would love to see him throw this shot in the basket for an eagle too. Yuli's upshot is out to the left and inside the circle. Had a bit of a headwind to contend with. As we walk down the fairway, this could arguably be the most pressure-filled putt that James Cole has had in his disc golf career, as an opportunity for $10,000 is on the line and a minimum of $2,000 is guaranteed. And after a huge hyzer, Alex Geisinger's disc has tombstoned in the ground just outside the circle. This will be his putt for par 4. Just out right side for Alex Geisinger. And here's James Cole. I believe James is rated in the low 990s to maybe mid 990s. Obviously a good player, but I don't believe he's ever had as much pressure on any putt as he has on this one. He is 2 feet inside the circle, 30 feet to guarantee $2,000. James's putt is high and off the band. He is visibly frustrated, a bit dejected. Paul Ulibarri is just outside of Cale's distance. This is for his birdie 3. Good putt by Paul Ulibarri to finish up his round. Ulibarri had a great Green Mountain Championship and just an unfortunate hole today that set him back a bit. This is Cale Leiviska to tie and force a playoff with James Cole. Cale steals his resolve and pours it in the right side of the basket. That will tie Cale Leiviska with James Cole. And once again, the playoff format is sudden death, holes 18, 1, and 2. If the players get identical scores on each one of those holes, then the player with the most tour points would move forward into the finals. That person would be Cale Leiviska. So James Cole is going to have to make a play. We are having some incredible finishes on hole 18. We're going to hear a brief word from our sponsors and then pick up action as our other 2 cards finish up out here at the Fox Run Meadows course. Stay tuned for the dramatic finish of the Disc Golf Pro Tour semifinals here on Smashbox TV.
And welcome back. We just saw Peter McBride throw an inbounds tee shot. Nate Doss is up second, and he's waiting for an indicator. He gets a green flag. I'm guessing he's close to the basket due to the crowd reaction. Drew Gibson to tee third. Drew going with a much higher route. He's looking for that to sit down hard. And he gets the green flag and a gentle clap. He seems to be short and left. James Conrad is long and OB. However, he'll have a relatively short putt from there. The drama continues to unfold here on hole number 17. This is the third card. We see Peter McBride sitting at 11 under par. He's got a 2-stroke advantage over Nate Doss and Drew Gibson. However, Nate Doss and Drew Gibson, if they continue to play well, they might find themselves in the wild card position. I believe Robert McCall earlier clarified how the wild card would come into play and what would happen if there needs to be a playoff or any kind of tiebreaker. So not Drew Gibson, and again, Nate Doss may or may not be able to catch McBride. However, they're going to continue playing for every stroke they can, as that may be their wild card entry here into the finals this afternoon. And Drew Gibson is standing down, not exactly certain as to why he was waiting for them to throw versus him taking the honors here. Typically the hole ahead of you is the one to throw first. Then again, what do I know? And with a gentle run from just outside circle 2, Drew Gibson goes deep behind the pin. And James Conrad is actually behind our competitors as he found himself going OB and not getting back inbounds. James Conrad has relinquished his chances here of moving into the finals today. We saw James Conrad throughout this season here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Great to see him here in the semifinals round. If you had not otherwise heard of James Conrad before this year, we're glad you do now. Peter McBride finds himself inside the circle's edge, looking at approximately 28 feet. And with authority, Peter McBride says, yeah, I'm still up on the rest of you guys. Right now, Peter McBride, I believe, has this single hottest score out of all competitors that came out here to play today. That moves him to 12 under par, besting Nate Sexton's hot round of 10 under. Nikko sits at 9 under. Nikko is also on the edge of his seat as both him and Nate Doss, along with Drew Gibson, are all sitting at 9 under. This is Drew Gibson for par. And Gibson will remain at par. Nate Doss can pull ahead of the wild card race with a birdie right here. And just like that, Nate Doss has pulled into the lead of the wild card competitors. He's not catching Peter McBride. The drama continues. We're excited here. We're going to move over to hole number 18. As we get in position on 18, we'll check in with Jamie Thomas as Paul McBeth is leading on the final card of the day. What do you got for us, Jamie?
Well, Terry, we have a very interesting situation developing here. Dana Vicich, who is up to throw, is in a win his card or die situation. He trails Paul by 1 stroke. He's thrown a perfect upshot here on this par 4, number 16. Remember, Dana comes in as the lowest seed from the quarterfinals, so if a situation came down to a playoff and that was still tied, then in tour points he would be knocked out. Cam Todd has been all but eliminated at this point. He's at 4 under par and really doesn't have too much of a chance. Paul McBeth sitting at 7. He doesn't really need to throw this in, but I'm sure he wants to. Oh, and the right to left wind, he read that beautifully. It flashes the face of the basket, and that's a tap-in birdie. He's going to go to 8 under very shortly here. It's becoming a two-way race for second place between Michael Johansen and Dana Vicich, with that big downhill shot on 17 looming and that par 4 dogleg right 18 to follow that one. It's far from over, but the throws you have left are getting shorter, and the round's coming to a close here really soon. So again, this is a whole lot of pressure here on both Dana and Michael Joe. have to say the most impressive thing about today so far has been Peter McBride. As disappointing as it is seeing Ricky Wysocki not make the finals for all of his fans out there, all of you guys better get on the Peter McBride train, because this kid is good. Oh, and that's a crucial splash out for Michael Johansen. That's going to give Dana a one-stroke advantage if he can convert this putt here. And there's Paul McBeth, and Dana does convert that putt. He's going to take the one-stroke lead. Todd taps in right there. And Terry Miller. What's going on, disc golf guy?
Jamie, you would not believe what's going on here on 18. We're going to watch our players move down the fairway here. We saw Peter McBride throw it into the center of the fairway. He's positioned himself very well. Not that it matters. He's at 12 under par. He has scorched the course out here today. Whether he finishes with a par or a birdie or a double bogey, it doesn't matter. Right now, Peter McBride is moving into the finals, barring he doesn't throw 4 or 5 shots into the OB area. Then Nate Doss stepped up, and Nate Doss put his OB by no more than 2 or 3 feet. Next to follow that, Drew Gibson, who is 1 stroke behind Nate Doss. However, Drew Gibson also throws it out of bounds. All he needed to do was put it into the fairway to at least hope for a tie with Doss. Now there's going to be a conversation as we move down. James Conrad's in the center of the fairway, and unfortunately, James, we love you, but not relevant right now. We're going to try and get into position and see if we can catch up with Drew Gibson. There seems to be a conversation as to exactly where he was last in bounds. His card mate and closest competitor, Nate Doss, stepping in to see if he can align where they might be.
No, I'm not saying at the tree. No, I'm saying like from the tee pad, like that was the line.
And Drew Gibson getting himself a lie as he's going to move in the 3 feet from the OB line. And we have a chain out. He got a green flag for it, but there's a chain out on hole 17 directly behind us. And the spotter, how funny is that? The spotter gives a green flag on the chain out. And Drew Gibson goes out and over the OB. He's trying to take the right side OB out of play. He needs that to stop and come in bounds. And with that, I believe Drew Gibson will not be moving into the finals. That second OB now, I shouldn't speak too soon. We've seen far too much today. If Nate Doss can put this next shot in bounds, he should have no problem advancing into the finals. He's looking good for the wild card position. Nate Doss may or may not recognize the exact situation. However, if he can get up and down here, he could advance due to the wild card.
I can see where this spike mark is over there. Pretty much.
Unbelievable what is happening here on hole 18. Again, just a few moments ago, Dana Vicich chaining out on his drive on hole 17. And James Conrad goes out and around what we just saw an attempt by Drew Gibson. However, he hangs it much wider. And it hits a tree up near the pin. And then ultimately sits down. He's going to have a look from there. It's a huge shot for Nate Doss. He just needs to put this in bounds. Doss with a great looking forehand would love a little skip toward the pin. Solid shot by Nate Doss. And Peter McBride with the furthest throw in the group. And Nate Doss will have that final putt remaining to guarantee himself a spot as the wild card in the finals. And Peter McBride again, flawless execution. Peter McBride is here and looking to play for that $10,000 check in a few hours. We invite you all to join us this afternoon for the final round, where a $10,000 check will be written to one of 5 competitors that you're seeing here this morning. With Dana taking a birdie on 17, I believe that will bring him to 8 under par. That means he would need an eagle on hole 18. That again is assuming Nate Doss converts on the putt. Nate is looking good. If he converts here, Nate Doss will in fact move into the finals. And Drew Gibson played his odds yesterday by finding himself on this card. However, he's run into Nate Doss and Peter McBride. And Drew Gibson is going to pack it up. And there may be a playoff. Nikko Locastro, I see him running off in a distance, giving himself what seems to be, he's officially, he has officially given himself the high heel clicks. He is jumping around. Wow. Nikko Locastro is going to find himself in a playoff with Nate Doss. I'll get a clarification here in a moment from Robert McCall. Robert's now joined me, and I wasn't available earlier, Robert, when you were talking about what happens in a playoff situation. Nikko is running around like a leprechaun at the moment.
That's right.
Literally running around like a leprechaun, as he saw Nate Doss's putt did not convert. What happens in a playoff situation for that wild card spot?
So we play holes 18, 1, and 2, sudden death on each one of them. Let's take a minute just while Peter McBride putts, just for a second.
And Peter McShredder with an unbelievable round. As I said earlier, I believe Drew Gibson played his cards wrong yesterday, running into Nate Doss and an unstoppable Peter McBride, who's nearly doubled the under par strokes that Paul McBeth has.
Yeah, he's lapped the field, but I want to give you a quick score update. Through 17, Paul McBeth is 9 under, so he will likely win his card, but I believe we're going to see a playoff for the wild card spot between Nate Doss and Nikko Locastro. We're going to get our drives on 18. We'll have a word from our sponsors, and then we'll be back with the rest of our live disc golf action from the semifinals here.
And welcome back to the tee of hole number 18 here. This is the final card in the semifinals. Paul McBeth will be first to tee as a headwind had just picked up and then slightly died down. Paul's asking for it to slam, and it goes out of bounds. That headwind just cannot decide. It's picking up and dropping again, as it has been doing all day up here. And we just saw, and here's Dana, who just chained out of an ace on 17. Dana's throwing a little more inside of Paul. It needs to stick. But that's going to be out of bounds as well. Dana trails Paul by 1 stroke, and they have both just thrown out of bounds. Here's Cam Todd to throw. And Cam has unleashed a huge shot down this fairway. That's gone past the tree around the corner. That may be the closest to the pin anyone's been all weekend. Here's Michael Joe. And it's going a long way, but just a really shifty wind turned all of a sudden from a slight cross into a header. All the competitors on this card saying the wind is playing slightly differently than they expected it to. And, like we said, that's really been the case all day out here. The wind has not really picked a constant direction or speed. And on some of these holes where the OB gets really tight and accuracy is a premium, it has come into a play and directly affected the scores of some of the best in the world. This is the final card coming down the fairway. It is, with that out of bounds, it is for sure going to be a do or die scenario for Dana Vicich. Dana has to tie Paul on this card in order to go to a 3-hole playoff to determine the winner of the card. Because Nikko Locastro is sitting at 9 down, Dana is not eligible for that wild card spot. There will be only one person coming off of this card going into the finals. The only question now is, will it be the 4-time world champion, or will it be at the lowest seed from the quarterfinals? Make sure you guys are staying tuned. We are halfway done with the last hole in the semifinals of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Here's Michael Johansen. And he's just trying to get some distance at this point. Just throw in for fun both Cam and Michael Joe. Cam, after a super hot start, going 4 down through the first 4 holes before taking a double bogey on 5. And he just was never really able to get it back in gear. Threw out of bounds again later on hole 8. And while his putting has been really solid, just like he's known for, he did not let down. If you were watching out here, you'd see a putting clinic being put on. The drive just got away from him a little bit, especially on some of the longer holes where he gives up distance to these younger players. And we just received word that there will be a playoff taking place immediately after we finish here. It's going to be James Snappy Cole and Cale Visca, who tied at a 7 down. So stay tuned. There will be a 3-hole playoff. And we're watching Dana Vicich. He needs to get up and down here.
Semi.
And Dana leaves the drive low on the right side. He gets the green flag. He's probably going to be in the circle 2 range. That's not going to be an easy putt. But it's a putt that he has to have. This is a do or die situation. And the old affectionately titled Dirty Hippie has to take another mark, and he's just going to throw the putter up there. At the same time, when you say just throw the putter up there, he can take that banger GT and put it a good long ways. Paul McBeth is now checking his lie. Paul's forehand is long enough, and it sits right there on the top of the hill. He's going to be looking back at the basket. We're going to check in with Robert McCall, who can give us a little more of the detailed information on the playoffs that are about to happen as soon as we finish this hole. Robert, what's going on with the ties, huh?
Card. That's Cale Leviska and James Cole, who are going to be playing off for the win on that card. Winner has...
Sorry about that, guys. A little technical difficulties. Robert's coming to you momentarily.
So just to clarify, Cale Leviska and James Cole will be moving into a playoff, and Nate Doss and Nikko Locastro will be playing off for the wild card spot. So in between those 4 players, 2 of them will have a chance at $2,000. The other will have to settle. The other 2 will have to settle for $800 apiece. The playoff format, as we've said, is going to be holes 18, 1, and 2. Sudden death on each hole. And if players are tied at the end of those holes, if they've pushed each one of those holes, then the player with the most Disc Golf Pro Tour points from the season leading up to this will take the win off of that tiebreaker. So if somebody were to go, if Cale goes 4 and James goes 3, then James is in. We don't have to play 1 and 2. But that's going to be our playoff format. So we've got to look at Dana Vicich lining up from just inside circle 2. Dana's putt is up and just left of the basket. He's played a great round today despite a finish that's less than what he wanted. This will be Michael Johansen. Michael's putt is just low. We're going to throw it over to Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, as Gary O and I move into position on the 18th tee. Terry, tell us what's happening with these putts up here.
Johnny, give us some direction here. What are we going to do?
A little bit, but he caught a nice break on 17, got spit out for the ace, and that would have put us tied up, and I didn't quite have a grasp where the scores were. I threw a shot. I would have thrown the same shot regardless, so can't say it would have been any different. Just missed it and left it a little high. Should have learned from him, but it was a fun round, and my putter started finding the chains. I only missed, outside of that tap in right there, I only missed one in the circle and hit a number outside, and happy with how I played, and I'm ready to relax.
I bet you are. Maybe we'll even see a little or hear a little of you if you could find yourself. No? All right. Well, it was a great run, a great effort. I know I was on 18, and we hear an eruption on that ace run that you had on 17. I turn around, and I got to say, one of the cutest moments I've ever seen is a green flag comes up after you ring the chains. The spotter tells you it's a green flag. Our players are going to get into position. There's some playoffs. There's still some heated battle. James Cole and Cale Leviska brought it all the way down to a playoff. They're going to move into position. We've got a few other things going on. Nate Doss and Nikko Locastro are in a playoff for the wild card spot. Things are crazy.
Well,
you relax. I believe they came in at 9 or 10. There's so many numbers around in my head, I can't keep them all straight. But we got Robert McCall on the tee of 10. Dana, we thank you for your efforts. We thank you for everything you do with Smashbox. Your family back home's proud.
Thanks.
Let's take it over to Robert McCall on the tee of hole number 18. I believe Steve Dodge may be moving into position as well. But we do have Robert up there on the tee, and Robert, are they ready to go up there? Steve Dodge is just hanging out in the parking lot. I'm not sure if he's getting a brat and a beer, but I think we're ready to go with this playoff here pretty soon.
I think we're pretty close to being ready to go. Steve Dodge is making the long trip up here, but I want to just reiterate our playoff format here. So we are going to be playing holes 18, 1, and 2, and it's sudden death on each one of the holes. Now, if our players in the two different playoffs push each one of the holes, so if they take 3-3, 4-4, 5-5, whatever, if they push each one of those holes, then after those 3 holes, the player with the most Disc Golf Pro Tour points will win through that tiebreaker method. But we get to see more golf, and that's what I'm excited about. So hole 18 has had mixed results from our competitors today. We've seen a lot of players throw absolutely fantastic drives, find themselves in bounds, and then we've seen players misread the wind and end up out of bounds, as we saw from Paul McBeth and Dana Vicich. Just an incredible setting for an opportunity. Sorry, I was just getting a bit of clarification. Yes, so the sudden death playoff means that if one of our competitors takes a 3 on this hole and the other one takes a 4, then that playoff is over right then. We've got Pro Tour Director Steve Dodge, who's going to be on the call for our playoff here.
So we're playing holes 18, 1, and 2. It's sudden death. If you're still tied after holes 18, 1, and 2, the Tour points champion between the two of you, which would be Cale, would advance. So that's the way we do it. Cale, you were last birdie, I think?
Yep.
Okay.
Good call.
Cale's first, James second. Good luck, gentlemen.
Steve.
Yeah.
We are live on the tee.
So first to tee will be Cale Leviska, followed by James Cole. Those two are in a playoff together for one spot at a possible $10,000 and a guaranteed $2,000. The person that loses the playoff will have to settle for a measly $800, which is still hashtag Disc Golf Rich. Cale's hung his hyzer well out to the right, and it's fading back to the center of the fairway. He's thrown a beautiful tee shot right to the middle. Prime position, nowhere near out of bounds. Great shot by Cale Leviska. James Cole checks the wind and is lining up a hyzer as well. James's hyzer is very high in the air. It's coming down near the out-of-bounds area, but it gets a nice stick in the grass. That was the same disc that James threw out of bounds just a moment ago, so he made a great correction. So it looks as if Cale and James are going to take their own playoff and finish out on their own, and then we'll have Nate Doss and Nikko Locastro come down. As we watch Cale Wysocki and James Cole walk down the fairway here, there is quite a bit of wind that's picked up now that we've gotten closer to the afternoon hours. Each of our players read the wind pretty well. Cale a bit better than James here, as James's disc was pretty high in the air but got a fortunate stick near the out-of-bounds stakes. We didn't see that same stick from a lot of our competitors, including Paul McBeth, Dana Vicich, Nate Doss was out of bounds here, and so these guys have made great corrections on their shots and now are in the fairway for an opportunity at birdie 3.
And just as you said a moment ago, Robert, we have our competitors moving down the fairway. Both of them are inbounds. Also, we just heard a moment ago, Jeff Spring, our tournament director, let everyone know that immediately following these two moving off of this hole, we're going to see a playoff between Nate Doss and Nikko Locastro. I feel like it might have been easier to have all four play together, but that's going to give everyone at home a little bit more golf here today. Extend our resources. We're excited you're here for the Pro Tour Semifinals playoff with James Cole and Cale Wysocki. And James Cole has put himself inside the circle too. Cale's looking to put it closer than James Cole so he can put the pressure on James to have to make his circle 2 putt. Cale had hunted down James Cole in regulation, catching him on hole 18. Cole was leading the entire round until the final hole where he was again tied by Cale Wysocki. And Cale gets a kick off the tree. He will be out. He's looking at approximately 80 feet. He will be first to putt. That will give James Cole an indicator as to how hard he needs to run at his birdie. Pressure-packed situations here as these competitors are looking to get into the final round this afternoon. Of course, 5 players will be there. One will walk away with a $10,000 check.
And beginning our next playoff is Nikko Locastro
I see
on 18th tee.
Cale Wysocki from outside circle 2 on the right side of the fairway. I'm looking up at Nikko Locastro getting ready to tee. Here's Cale. And Cale looking to recreate a little of that Minnesota magic he had on the very first hole of the day, where he threw one in from outside circle 2. And James Cole can advance to the final round with this putt right here. Nico's tee shot is in bounds for the Nikko Doss playoff. And Cole is off of the top band. They will push and move on, and Nate Doss may have just ended his chances here. He kicks off the tree, and he comes up short and out of bounds. Nate Doss OB here on hole number 18's tee shot. Nikko Locastro with the advantage as they come down the fairway. Nate Doss had thrown OB in the regulation play here on hole number 18. Looks like he may have tried to adjust, however, a little overcompensation as he's gone OB wide right versus wide left. And Nate Doss did not come back in bounds, so he will be no more than a third or a quarter of the way down the fairway here. He's got a lot of ground to cover. Nate Doss is going to need some three-time world champ love or magic of his own here if there's any chance for him to move into this final round.
So Nate is conferring with his caddy right here if there's any way that he can go over these trees, which is basically his only opportunity to get anywhere close to the basket. And that would be a 500 or 550 foot shot. It would be an absolute monster drive.
Robert, with Nikko Locastro in prime position, Nate's going to have to go big here, especially after throwing OB. He could have maybe been conservative otherwise, but now where he's at, he's got to go for the big shot, does he not?
That's correct. This is pedal to the metal time for Nate. He has nothing to lose. I mean, he has to be aggressive because Nico's taking no worse than a 4. I mean, that's almost a guarantee.
And Nate Doss is going for the shot. Is that going to clear it, Robert? It looks like it is.
Yeah, he wasn't quite as aggressive as he could have been there. He had thought about going over the trees over the right side of the fairway, but that would have been, I mean, probably a world distance record type shot, huge shot. Instead, he just plays it to the middle where he'll have, it looks like around 80 or 90
Nate
feet,
Doss wants to
maybe for a throw-in.
Sorry about that, Robert. I was just going to say Nate Doss is just going to play his odds here, maybe hedge his bets a little bit, thinking that maybe Nikko Locastro can make a mistake somewhere and possibly keep him in it. Nate probably didn't want to go up and over, knowing that if he were to go to OB, Nikko could simply walk this in. He's keeping the pressure on Nikko here. He's going to make him execute these final 2 or 3 shots. And Nikko with a gentle turnovers carrying into the middle of the fairway. Doss will be throwing next. Nikko's looking to get up and down and simply card a par 4 that will secure him his spot. Nate Doss, on the other hand, needs to throw this in because Nikko has an all too easy up and down.
Terry, that sounds really exciting over there. We're here on hole 1. The playoff is still going on between Kale Visca and Snappy Cole. I believe this is Kale's attempt for birdie. Again, James Cole has the position of being a little bit closer. So I do believe, I apologize if I'm wrong, I just got here. I do believe this will be the deciding factor unless both of them miss.
Nate Doss needs this throw in to continue. And semi-sarcastically, Robert, I think I heard him say get in. I'm going to admit I was relatively disappointed with that effort by Doss. He needed to put that in, and he came up 15 feet short of the pin.
And over here on hole 1, that is officially it. Snappy Cole from Chattanooga, Tennessee has taken down Kale Visca. We're going to see if we can pull Snappy here in just a minute to get his thoughts on the battle and on going into the finals. Give us 1 minute to get him over here. And it sounds like the Doss and Locastro battle is coming to an end too, huh, Terry?
And yes, you have said it correctly, as Nate Doss has conceded here in this single sudden death match play exhibition between the two of them for the single hole on 18. They hug and embrace, and Nikko Locastro lives to see 18 more holes. He's excited. Nikko. We're going to see if we can catch up with Nikko Locastro. Nikko, now we know that you are never wishing any unfortunate circumstance on any competitor, but you were giddy as a schoolgirl. I think I called you a leaping leprechaun, in fact.
Yeah,
you were running around. You're
bit.
excited. You were
I was
excited,
excited
as
when
you
I-
should be. You're here in the finals. Walk us through that playoff hole.
Well, walking up to it, I was just anticipating staying in bounds. You know, on the 18th hole coming down the stretch, I let one sail out early, OB, so I knew what I needed to execute and, you know, just play safer. You know, going through the shot selection in my head, I knew that I needed to land in bounds first, and then, you know, after I watched Nate go OB, I was kind of just making sure, you know, again, making sure that second shot stayed in bounds, most importantly. Didn't want to do anything stupid, and, you know, I put it in a decent position. Had a nice, simple hyzer up shot, and it stayed close. Didn't get a roll away on the last hole, but you know, I take my hat off for Nate. He's always a great sportsman and one of the best in the game right now. He's, you know, 3-time world champion. So, you know, hats off to Nate. Went into the playoff, and this time I came out on top.
Last question for you. What does it feel like knowing you're going to be playing for $10,000 starting in just a couple hours?
I'm really excited right now. It's a big opportunity to just, you know, store away a little bit of cash for the winter. But yeah, I just want to put on a good show for the people that are out here watching, and, you know, give a shout out to all my friends and family that have been supporting me all year. And you know, just got a lot of people pushing for disc golf right now. There's a lot of great people everywhere I go in each city I find myself in. It's a beautiful sport. It's a beautiful time to play disc golf, and I appreciate everybody's support, and thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thanks, man.
All right, Jamie Thomas, I believe you've caught up with a playoff victor on your side. Tell us what you got.
Well, Terry, we're here on the tee of hole 1 with Snappy Cole from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And just a few short minutes, or I guess just a little over an hour from now, you're going to be teeing off here in the finals, competing for $10,000 and the title of the first champion of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. How are your emotions right now?
This has definitely exceeded my expectations for the trip. Feels good to stay shot for shot and capitalize on all my opportunities. It was a great battle with me and Kale. Super fun. This is just a great experience, and I want to thank the Pro Tour for that.
In order to get to that battle with Kale, you first had to battle 2 other competitors in addition on the card. You held the lead for most of that round. What happened towards the back of your round that allowed Kale to catch up to you?
We were playing shot for shot, coming down from 14 to about 16, and then 17 he went out of bounds. I capitalized with a birdie there, and then got on the tee of 18 and threw it right out of bounds and missed a putt just outside the circle to save my par, and he got the 3, and that tied us up.
And so to get to this point, you've obviously had to make a lot of those just barely outside the circle putts. What did you tell yourself? How did you pick yourself back up to turn around, walk back up that hill, and battle him again starting on 18?
You would think I'd have to make a lot of those outside the circle putts, but these courses are all about throwing. If you're throwing well, then you can eliminate putting, and that makes it a lot easier for yourself.
Well, congratulations. Good luck. Go get some food and some rest, and we'll see you in the finals real soon.
Thanks, sir.
We appreciate all you guys watching the semifinals. We're going to start with the women's. The FPO finals are going to start just shortly here. You're watching the Disc Golf Pro Tour with Smashbox TV.